Hi, it's Kylie Koo. Welcome to my studio. So today I'm working on the hashtag Everyday Art Hop, and there's more information in the information box below. And for this hop, I've chosen to focus on nature as my muse, and I'm showing you here some photographs that I've taken of lichen, sometimes referred to as lichen, which is a plant-like organism that grows on just about anything, on trees, on paving stones, on brick walls and on wood, and it's something that fascinates me. And what I want to do today is to show you how this actually helps me look at creating backgrounds for my art. Now, I often use nature in my art, sometimes as backgrounds, sometimes as main features. I rarely actually draw them as I see them. I'm much more interested in kind of shape and form, colour, texture, and it's really that influences me. So I'm going to show you some different ways that I've used the lichen in particular to help create some backgrounds. So here I'm using a Moleskine watercolour book and just using some watercolours, and all I'm trying to do here is I'm not trying to replicate the colours fully, but just to use the kind of subtlety of the colours in the lichen and to bring it out here in a background, and just to show how the different colours sit alongside each other. Now, I'm absolutely fascinated by lichen. When you look at it closely, you can see all the minute detail. Some of it is very flat looking, others you can see a kind of deeper growth in it. Sometimes it's a very, very pale grey, often very subtle colours, but other times they're just little hints of yellow or green throughout it. And that's what I've tried to do in this particular piece, is to show that. So I really wet the page quite heavily there and used those colours, and you'll see how that's now sitting. So now I'm taking one of my small Ranger Dilutions mixed media books, and I'm going to use this time some gesso and acrylic paints and also a distress ink, and this is just a different way of interpreting the lichen as a background. And just showing you there the particular colours that I'm trying to use. Again, not trying to replicate the exact colours of the lichen, but just trying to take the way that it all sits together to build a background here. So I'm putting on the gesso quite thickly, and I'm certainly not smoothing it out, just leaving some texture in it, because if you look at lichen very closely, it is very, very textured. And now I'm just going to take this distress spray in Vintage Photo, spray it around. That itself looks good, but it's not the effect that I'm looking for. So I'm closing the book, smooshing those pages together, smooshing being a bit of a technical term, not, and then just dabbing off some of the excess. And already I'm quite liking this, and in fact I can almost see a kind of tree bark effect in this. So I've dried that there before going on to add some other colours. So then I'm taking the Naples yellow, which is a very soft yellow and one that I'm really liking using a lot at the moment. And I'm just taking a piece of kitchen towel that's already been well used, just looking for a kind of dry bit, and all I'm going to do is put this on around the page, again just trying to reflect those little bits of colour that you get in the lichen. So nothing too heavy, just dabbing it here and there to get that overall effect. Similarly, I'm taking this lime yellow, and again I'll just use a similar technique, just dabbing it about, but this time using even less. With lichen, you've really got to get up and close to it to be able to see the subtlety of what's going on there, and that's what I'm trying to create in this piece. As I say, I'm calling it a background piece. I may at some point go on to do something on top of these layers, or I may actually leave it as is. Sometimes I just enjoy looking at these kind of things as is, but other times I think, no, I want to develop this further. So I've just taken some burnt umber and again just dabbing it on just to try and get some of the depth. I really take inspiration from nature each and every day, and it is reflected in my art a lot. So I've now got some Dr. P.H. Martins, and I'm also using some glossy inkjet photo paper. And in the glass, I don't have any rubbing alcohol, so I decided to use some actual vodka to see how that would do. So this is very much a bit of an experiment. And again, just trying to take a range of colours, not exactly replicating what's in the lichen, but, you know, in a sense, this is a kind of jazzed up version of it, much bolder colours. So they're just using one of the little pipelets to drop the vodka onto it. And it's spreading it. I don't think it gives it the same effect as the rubbing alcohol, but for the time being, it's kind of doing what I want it to do. But the paper does get pretty soaked here. And I do just start to play about with it. So dropping some turquoise in, again just to reflect the different colours that I see in the lichen. And I decide here that I actually just want to start to move it about and see what kind of effect I can create. I mean, that's the other thing about the influence of nature for me. As I say, I'm not trying to replicate it exactly, but it's about it inspiring me to do different things and try different things. And I'm playing about with this, and I'm liking the way that it's playing. And so decide to experiment further. But it was very wet, so I took a piece of mixed media paper and just smooshed it over the top to try and pick up a lot of the dampness that was there. It was very wet. And each time I kind of do this, I'm getting a slightly different effect. It's kind of laying paint down onto the mixed media paper, but it's also lifting back up some of what's on the mixed media paper. So very much just playing with this, just experimenting, and really liking what I'm seeing. And even that piece of mixed media paper has some lovely pattern on it that I'll be able to use in collage or as a background piece itself. So what I've now done here is to take the opposite side of the photo paper, so the side that's not glossy. I remember seeing Nina Ribena doing this in one of her videos, so I thought I'd give that a try. And again, just dropping some of the vodka onto it and having a bit of a play about. Now the kind of dark brown is looking a bit segmented. I don't know if there was some kind of sediment in it, if I didn't shake it enough, or if it's somehow reacted to something. I'm just not sure, but nevertheless I quite like the effect that it's left. And there I'm just using my heat gun almost to move the ink about a bit and to see the different effects. Again, just taking that piece of kitchen towel and dabbing it around and getting another kind of textured effect just by doing that. So taking it further out to the edges, using the ink that's there, and very much liking what's being created there. So I change my mind slightly there and go for a darker tone to begin with, again to try and get some of those dark tones to suggest the depth that's in some of the lichen. And I just try some water this time. And you can see it kind of spreading out there. Again, I don't think it gives the effect of the rubbing alcohol, but you know, I didn't have that, so using what I've got. And then taking some of the turquoise just to give that kind of contrast effect. I don't want a lot on here, I'm just applying a little bit. But you can see how that's spreading out and almost working along the channels. So just as I'm finishing that piece off, I'm really grateful to Peg Robinson for asking me to be a part of this hop. I do try and art every day. Sometimes it'll be a little bit, sometimes it'll be a lot. Other times what I'm very much about is looking for that inspiration, especially from nature. So if I'm out and about and I'm walking, then I will have a camera or even just my phone camera, and I'll often take photos of things such as the lichen. It's by taking the photos that I sometimes see that real detail up close. Sometimes I think my eye can't actually capture the detail, but when I look at the photograph, it has captured it. So there I'm just going through the various pieces that I've created. As I say, that was the mixed media page. There's the watercolour, which is now dried. I might make that into something. I think my favourite piece is probably this one, which is in the mixed media with the acrylics, and yeah, really liking that. So I hope this has shown you how I use nature to, in this instance, create some backgrounds, and I hope it maybe inspires you to do something similar, and maybe not just to look at the trees and the flowers, but to look at some of the other things that's down deep in the ground or growing on walls or on trees, and just looking at the detail of those and the richness of those, and yeah, I hope they can excite you as much as they do me. So thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.